I'm going to say this. I cannot negate anyone's feelings in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
And I will say this. I think that you can never put a time limit on someone's feelings, their emotions, or even their version of what the truth may be to them. But I do wish that the people that were spoken about were able to tell their own version of their story, of their truth, because they're no longer with us.
That's it. Because they're dead.
And that's not always fair. It's not always fair. And people have to talk about things when they're ready to talk about them. And yes, you guys are loud, Caleb.
You're loud as hell out there.
But I can't disregard it.
7. Here's a cleaner and more polished rewrite with stronger flow and impact. When people make mistakes, they usually respond in one of two ways. Some brush it off and refuse to care, while others take a step back, reflect on what went wrong, accept responsibility, and try to improve. Trina, however, clearly falls into the first category. She doesn't seem interested in listening or understanding the issue. Instead, she keeps talking, keeps defending herself, and continues to attack Ashley by calling her a liar. Think about that for a moment. Trina is publicly accusing her own niece of being dishonest. That alone is troubling, but it gets even worse. The first video featuring Trina and her husband already contained subtle shots directed at Ashley. Their tone came across as dismissive, and the message behind it was obvious. But what truly pushed the situation further was Trina's latest interview. During that interview, Trina made a statement that simply didn't add up. She said,
"Congratulations on season 2 of The Braxtons."
Thank you, Eric.
So, there's a lot in the season about the drama around Ashley and her revelation. You had some feelings about that. How did you feel it ended up?
Well, first I'll say that you can never deny anybody their truth. But when you say that someone has their truth, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the truth. It is just the truth as they interpret.
Just because it's Ashley's truth doesn't mean it's the truth. But what does that even mean? Statements like that are not thoughtful or neutral. They're carefully worded attempts to make someone seem unreliable without directly calling them a liar. And that's exactly what Trina has been doing. In every public appearance, the pattern stays the same. Trina shifts blame onto Ashley while doing everything possible to protect her husband from criticism. She refuses to acknowledge any wrongdoing on his part. There's no accountability, no real concern for the damage caused, and no willingness to admit fault. Instead, her focus seems to be on defending him at all costs, even if it means hurting her own niece in the process. What makes the situation even more troubling is that Trina has already admitted something significant. During a live broadcast, she openly confirmed that she saw the messages herself. And she wasn't the only one. Ashley's stepmother saw them too. That means there is actual evidence showing that Trina was aware of what was happening.
I wish her healing. I pray for her healing. But on the other hand, I know as a person, me, myself, I can't be held accountable for someone else's actions.
Something inappropriate was happening, and instead of addressing it seriously, Trina minimized it. She brushed it aside and made Ashley's experience seem insignificant and unimportant. When the public reacted, people did not stay silent. The criticism against Trina was intense, and many felt it was completely justified. Yet even after the backlash, she didn't take accountability. She didn't apologize, reflect, or reconsider her approach. Instead, she doubled down and returned to the same narrative, portraying Ashley as dishonest. That behavior is deeply troubling. Trina's wording appears carefully chosen to cast doubt on Ashley's credibility. This is not simply a case of two people remembering events differently, nor is it a matter of opinion or perspective. The situation involves serious allegations and conduct that could have legal consequences. Framing it as her truth versus a truth minimizes the seriousness of the issue and creates a misleading narrative. These are not just interpretations or misunderstandings. They are claims tied to factual events. And realistically, Trina will likely continue to face heavy criticism because of how she has handled the situation.
Think about your family, the sisters, that has resonated so much with the public.
I think
Other than
because,
you have great voices.
oh, thank you. I think it's because, and this is not to sound like a jerk, but it's because we're relatable. You know, it's someone always reminds you of that baby. Oh, my baby sister's like that. Oh, my oldest sister's like that. Oh, that person reminds me of Trina. That person reminds me of Tuan. Oh, my mother is just like that. Oh my God, that person reminds me of Tracy. So I think because everyone in our family is identifiable with someone else in their lives in some way, shape, or form, I think that is what has drawn people to our family in particular.
The only reason this situation hasn't exploded even more is because the interview was posted on a smaller platform. That does not make the behavior any less disturbing. Trina's actions have continued to raise serious concerns, especially in the way she speaks about Ashley and the situation overall. Trina repeatedly says things like, "Her truth isn't the truth," or "I can't be held responsible for someone else's actions." But that completely misses the point. No one is accusing Trina of forcing her husband to behave inappropriately. What people are criticizing is how she responded afterward. Instead of supporting her niece or standing beside a young girl dealing with trauma, Trina appeared to distance herself from Ashley. Many people believe she isolated her emotionally and shifted the focus onto herself whenever her behavior was questioned. Rather than acknowledging Ashley's pain, she often framed herself as the one being attacked. To critics, this reflects a larger pattern of avoiding accountability within the family. Responsibility is deflected, blame is shifted, and difficult conversations are avoided. One particular comment Trina made to Ashley also drew attention. She reportedly told her, "If you need anything, I'm here." On the surface, that may sound supportive, but many people felt the statement placed emotional responsibility back onto Ashley, a teenager at the time, instead of showing active care and protection. Critics argue that children dealing with trauma should not be expected to carry the burden of reaching out for support on their own. The controversy also extends beyond Trina herself, with allegations and criticism involving other family members. This has led many observers to point out what they see as hypocrisy. Trina has often argued that people should not speak for others or misrepresent situations. Yet critics believe she has done exactly that while dismissing Ashley's perspective. What makes the situation especially unsettling to many people is a perceived lack of empathy and accountability, rather than listening, reflecting, or acknowledging mistakes. Trina's public responses have often been viewed as defensive and image-focused. There was one moment in particular that many believe could have changed the tone of everything. Tamar's podcast conversation with Ashley. People saw that as an opportunity for healing, honesty, and accountability. Trina could have expressed regret, acknowledged mistakes, or shown emotional support for her niece. Instead, critics feel she avoided responsibility, shifted blame, and focused on defending herself rather than addressing the deeper issue. As a result, public backlash has continued, especially following recent interviews. Many viewers believe the criticism persists because they feel the core concerns have never truly been addressed. Some also believe Trina wanted to control the narrative surrounding the situation because the full truth could reflect poorly on how she handled it. Ashley, however, has every right to share her own experiences and healing journey. Many supporters argue that no one else should dictate how she tells her story. Critics further point to Trina's past decisions, including attempt to reconcile with Gabe years after learning about the allegations, as evidence that protecting the relationship may have taken priority over protecting Ashley. Now, as public criticism grows, many feel Trina has shifted into portraying herself as a victim rather than showing accountability or empathy. The broader discussion surrounding the family has resonated with many viewers because the family once appeared relatable and authentic. People connected with them emotionally through their reality show. But critics argue that the handling of trauma and allegations behind the scenes undermine that image. Instead of becoming a space for healing and support, many viewers felt the situation turned into one where victims were questioned, dismissed, or discredited. The conversation has also expanded into criticism of the family dynamic as a whole. Some people believe the issues reflect generational dysfunction and unresolved patterns within the family environment. Others have pointed to the contrast between the family's public religious image and the behavior critics believe they displayed privately. For many observers, that contradiction has contributed to distrust and disappointment. At the center of all of this is one major issue. Many people believe Trina publicly questioned Ashley's honesty and credibility. To critics, that is deeply harmful, especially in situations involving trauma and serious allegations. Discrediting someone who comes forward can have lasting emotional consequences, which is why so many people continue to speak out about it.